Welcome to your deep dive. Today we have a pretty interesting mix of sources, actually.
Yeah.
We've got some proven strategies for just absolutely crushing any test that comes your way.
Right.
But then we're also going to take a look at something called linear programming
Oh,
from kind of a philosophical point of view.
interesting.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
We're going to explore how a math concept
Okay.
can maybe help us suffer less
Yep.
and maybe even reach enlightenment.
Math and enlightenment.
I know, it sounds crazy, right?
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Stick with us. It's going to get fascinating.
All right.
But first,
Okay.
let's tackle those tests.
When you look at all the advice that we've gathered about test taking,
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting how much it emphasizes mindset.
Yeah.
It's not just about memorizing a bunch of facts and figures.
Right.
It's about approaching the test strategically and emotionally.
Yeah, it's like they're all saying, hey, chill out. This is just a test. Let's just treat it as a challenge that we can solve, like a puzzle.
Absolutely. One source even suggested thinking of it like a game to master.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was a really clever way to reframe it.
Oh, and speaking of reforming, one of the sources had this awesome line.
Yeah.
Reading once saves time. Reading twice prevents mistakes.
That's a good one.
Makes you think, right?
It does. It highlights the fact that slowing down and being thorough
Right.
is ultimately going to save you time.
Yeah.
It's about focusing on quality over quantity.
Right. And another source actually brought up the same point.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so easy to just rush through things,
It is.
but taking that extra moment to double check
Mm-hmm.
can make all the difference.
It really can.
And that reminds me of another gem that we found.
Okay.
Clarity on paper leads to clarity in thought.
Ooh.
Just writing things down
Right.
can help organize your thinking so much.
Absolutely.
It's a strategy that can help you with way more than just tests, too.
That's true. Think about any problem you're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Having a clear and organized approach
Yeah,
is essential.
so true.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving your brain a roadmap.
Right.
And speaking of clarity,
Okay.
I really liked how the sources talked about double checking.
Mm-hmm.
They said double checking isn't about doubt.
Right.
It's about confirming your confidence.
Oh, I like that.
Powerful, right?
It is. It's not about second guessing yourself.
Exactly.
It's about reinforcing your understanding
Mm-hmm.
and approaching the test with assurance.
Totally. So we've been talking a lot about approaching challenges with the right mindset.
Right.
And I was really interested in the idea of reframing failure as feedback.
Yeah, embracing that growth mindset.
Right.
Seeing mistakes as opportunities to learn and improve.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
For
important.
tests and for life in general.
Exactly.
It's about seeing those failures as like data points,
Yes.
not reasons to give up.
Totally.
What else stuck out to you from what we read?
The idea of awareness as a superpower
Oh, yeah.
really stuck with me.
That one was good.
Being present in the moment,
Right.
noticing how you're feeling,
Yeah.
and recognizing those negative thoughts that are swirling around.
Mhm.
That can be incredibly powerful.
It's like you're becoming the observer of your own mind.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And once you can see those negative thought patterns,
Mhm.
you can start to change them.
You're totally right.
It's all about realizing that we have a choice
Mhm.
in how we respond to those thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
Even when we're under pressure.
Yeah. It all ties back into transforming that nervous energy into something productive.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Instead of letting that anxiety just freeze you up,
Right.
you can turn it into focus and determination.
Absolutely.
It's like anxiety becomes fuel instead of a roadblock.
Yeah. I love that.
It's amazing how much power we have over our own minds
It really is.
when we tap into that awareness. It is, yeah. It's really like turning that nervous energy into a rocket booster,
Yeah.
and it just propels you forward.
I love that.
But
Mm-hmm.
we talked about tests enough for now.
Okay.
Are you ready for that unexpected jump into linear programming?
Okay. I have to admit, when
Mhm.
I first saw that on our list of sources, I was a little confused.
Yeah,
But you promised it connects to enlightenment, so
I did.
I'm intrigued.
Okay, good.
Where do we even begin?
So linear programming,
Okay.
it's about finding the best outcome
Mm-hmm.
given certain limitations.
Okay.
Think of it like you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet,
Okay.
but you only have one plate.
Okay.
You want to get all the best food,
Right.
but you can't overfill your plate.
Gotcha.
That's linear programming.
So we all have limitations in life.
Exactly. And in linear programming, we call those constraints.
Okay.
Cut to the size of your plate.
Got it.
We all have constraints in lifetime, money, even our own abilities.
So are our choices like the variables in the equation.
Yeah, exactly.
So like at the buffet, I get to decide how much of each food goes on my plate.
Yes. And the goal is to maximize enjoyment of the food.
Okay.
So in life, there are things we're trying to achieve.
Right.
These are called objective functions.
Okay, so our constraints, our limitations, our variables are our choices,
Yeah.
and our objective function is what? Happiness, success.
It could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a career, relationships, even enlightenment.
So linear programming can help us reach enlightenment?
Well, it's about optimization,
Okay.
making the best choices we can
Right.
given our constraints
Okay.
to reach our goals.
So it's not about ignoring those limitations.
Right.
It's about using them to get the best results.
Exactly. And one source even suggests that struggling against those constraints can cause suffering.
That makes sense.
It's like when you try to put too much food on your plate,
Yeah.
it makes a mess, and you don't even get to enjoy it.
So enlightenment would be like accepting those limits.
Yeah, finding peace and fulfillment within those constraints.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But how do we apply that to our everyday lives?
Let's look at an example.
Okay.
Imagine a high school student.
Okay.
They have exams, sports, a job, and they want a social life.
I remember those days.
A lot to handle.
Yeah, for sure.
So their variables are how much time they give to each thing.
Okay.
Their constraints are how many hours are in a day,
Right.
the need for sleep,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even their family's expectations.
And what would their objective function be?
Good grades, making the team, having friends.
All of the above.
Probably they have
Yeah.
to prioritize.
Right.
Balance.
Okay.
Linear programming would say to allocate your time strategically.
Gotcha.
You can't do everything,
Right.
but you can choose what's most important.
So maybe they study a few hours, practice their sport for an hour, hang out with friends, and still get sleep.
Exactly. They're working within their limits, but maximizing their satisfaction in different areas.
It's all about finding that sweet spot
Yeah, that optimal path.
where we can achieve our goals, but not burn out.
Exactly. It's about optimization, not perfection.
This is making me rethink my to-do list.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe I need to look at it this way. What are my constraints, my variables, and my true goals?
I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah?
It's not just for tests.
Right.
It's for life.
You mentioned that those constraints and objectives can change over time.
Right.
How do we account for that? It's not like we can just set our goals and then forget about them, right?
No, not at all.
Things change and
Yeah.
priorities shift. New things come up.
Life is dynamic.
It is.
Just like in linear programming.
Right.
You might have new variables,
Yeah.
new limitations.
Right.
So we have to keep adjusting.
Yeah. So it's more about
Right.
checking in with ourselves
Yeah.
and reassessing what's important.
Exactly.
And then making changes if we need to.
It's a continuous process
Okay.
of recalibration,
Gotcha.
fine-tuning as we go.
That makes sense.
And the source actually calls this ongoing process
Yeah.
exponential enlightenment.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not about reaching some endpoint.
Right.
It's about constant growth
Yeah.
and optimization.
It really is a journey.
It is.
So we started with test-taking tips. Then we talked about linear programming.
Right.
And somehow we ended up with enlightenment.
It is interesting how these things connect.
It is.
Right.
It all comes back to mindset, strategy, and
No. Yeah.
accepting our limitations.
Yeah, not as obstacles.
Right, but as guides.
Exactly.
Working with what we've got, making good choices,
Yeah.
and learning as we go.
Absolutely. So as you go forward,
Okay.
we encourage you to think about
Yeah.
what are your variables,
Okay.
your constraints,
Yeah.
and your ultimate goals.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
For all of us.
I think so.
Yeah.
And maybe you're even a little curious about linear programming now.
Right.
There's a lot to learn about it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
We hope you learned some valuable things today.
And that you can use them.
Yeah. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep optimizing.
Yeah.
Who knows what you'll discover?
Exactly.